Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Woo-hoo.
And I'm Adrian Metcalf. And to my right, Dr. Steve Schatz, author of the Adima Chronicles. You can find out more about him at stevewrites.com. And Josh is a professional medium, and he channels a consciousness we call SOTU. Steve and SOTU have been having quite a conversation over the last few weeks, and it's going to continue again in just a moment. If everybody's ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Thank you
All
both.
right. Here we go.
Here we go.
All right. Well. We're back here again, huh? All right. Oh, are we bright yellow or what today? Well, a sunshiny day to you all. All right. So now that we've started off in the way that is completely frivolous, what would you like to begin with today, Doctor?
Well, my first question for you is, hopefully you aren't one that takes offense.
We build fences, but we do not take any.
Good. You keep them where they are. How do we know you're a being and not just schizophrenia?
You don't. It's not, again, it's a dynamic that we often say to you. It's not a dynamic of the vehicle. It's not a dynamic, it's the information. Does the information resonate with you? Is it within the realms of your belief system that you could possibly have a dynamic where you gain not new information, but you are urged in a sort of way to question your reality? If you had, how is that going to come except from the outside? Certainly you're not going to choose that yourselves. You just, so many times you do not question the status quo. And you know, you are resistant to movement in that direction. All right? Does that answer your question, kind of?
Yeah. So it doesn't matter. You could be a burning bush talking to us
It could be a talking monkey.
Yeah.
You know, what difference does it make? You know, it's only the vehicle. If you are taking what we are saying carte blanche, then you're not you're not using it in the way that it was intended to be used. This information is for you to consider, other possibilities that exist other than the ones that you believe now, to expand the dynamics of your beliefs. So much in your world, you are told the way you're supposed to act, you are told the way you are supposed to be, and you believe that so many of you spend so much of the times of your lives trying to be normal, and we would ask you, what is normal? There's no such thing as normal. And so if you understand the dynamic of the movement of humanity and the movement from the collective consciousness to the individual consciousness, and now you stand on the verge of a reality that's asking you to reclaim the dynamic of connection, reclaim the dynamic of community without losing one iota of that dynamic of that individual nature. And when you can do that, because it's you that has to do it, and that's why we come through a somewhat mundane vehicle in a way. Well, yes, we just called him mundane. But that is...
Both Adrian and I.
Well, you snicker, but The truth is that you know what the situation is, and so the purpose is that if he was a great historical writer and had gained a claim, his ego would be in the way. You know, and that is a major problem with most, or let us say many people that do this kind of work. They use it in place of an identity.
I see.
Right?
Good. It seems, looking back, the books I write look at the Hopi culture, or as it has that as an element, and so I spend a lot of time reading about that. And the ancient Hopis were amazing in how they related to the land. They looked at the land as, they were not the keepers of the land, but the land was the keeper of them.
Right. The land, the earth, Gaia, consciousness is a living sentient being.
Yeah.
And they view the mother, your mother, the earth, of which those of you that are incarnate right now in human bodies and are not aliens are of Mother Earth. And that is part of the dynamic of the empowerment that you as a species have, that beings that were not necessarily native to this planet do not. It is the dynamic of that emotional connection with Mother Earth, because it is primarily an emotional connection with Mother Earth. It's very visceral. It's much more concentrated than than you would consider the divine energy. But the divine energy works on your mind and your beliefs, and the Gaia energy works on your physical experiences.
Okay, so these people who I resonate with the way they look at the world.
Yes.
Hardly any peoples have been so
Abused.
beaten upon.
Abused.
Yeah.
Abused,
I
certainly
mean,
so.
the Spanish came, and because they didn't really
Because
have any
this is a
ground that was
dynamic
worth it.
Because it's a dynamic of duality. If you're going to wish to learn about love in your life, are you going to give yourself loving parents?
No, as you've said.
Well, it's the same principle. It's just juxtaposed to a consensus reality. So as a people, they come through and they have to rise above that dynamic. So the dynamic of achieving that level of respect, that level of understanding, that level of awareness within their belief system, within the dynamic of their belief, when they accomplish that, it's huge on an individual basis, and it's huge on a species-wide basis as well. Do you understand that?
I'm left with this feeling of, is humanity worth saving when it seems like, as all recorded history is kind of a bloodbath of people killing
what is
the other
it that they
ones.
say? History would be a wonderful thing if only it was true.
I doubt that there is so much wrong with history that
There's
you
a
do
great
not
deal. Well, but there is a great
see
deal wrong with history, and there is a whole dynamic of that history is they're lessons of the past. Have you learned them? They're lessons
No.
of the past. If you're in
Should we give up?
No, that would be no fun.
Why not?
Adrian wishes to say something.
Because would we say that a human being isn't worth saving because they have been in their adolescence, and we know what adolescence is like?
Or that they are reacting from a place of having been abused and denied and rejected and made to feel less than, and you are blaming them for having those human reactions? See, because that's what you're doing. The dysfunction of humanity is a dynamic that didn't happen overnight. It's been building on itself. You know, and again, but at the very same time, while it's been building on itself, while people have been deliberately dumbed down in many ways, the truth is that there is an inner movement occurring. There is an inner growth happening. There's an inner step about to be taken of growth, of movement, of becoming more than you are now. So we would suggest to you that your pessimism, although it is well-founded in many circumstances, in fact, is the times of greatest crisis are the times of greatest opportunity for positive change.
So you have hope.
Someone must. No, we see a different reality. We see the possibilities of a different reality because we are not locked in this paradigm. We are not locked into this dynamic of competition and comparison, of survival of the fittest. So we see the possibilities that humanity has if you just are willing to first realize you are enough just the way you are. You don't have to be perfect. You're already creating your reality 100%. And so if you're creating a screwed up, that's a spiritual term, by the way.
Yes, I know.
If you're creating a screwed up reality for yourself, then you can usually find the beliefs, the lenses that you hold to be true. You know, just a really simple one is, you know, there are many people that are chronically ill or become chronically ill, and they have hundreds of times in their life said the words, I am sick and tired of this, and I am sick and tired of that. And then they wonder why they're always sick and tired. Universe will give you what you ask for in your thoughts, in your words, and in your feelings. Line those three things up, and you can have an instant manifestation. Get 10 people together and line those things up, and you can really begin to create. But you have to realize you have that power. You have to realize that as earthly human beings, you have that ability, and not all beings do. The ability to create, the ability to manifest out of thin air. Now, it's very few of you on your planet that have actually achieved that, but it is more than possible. And as you begin to work together, as you begin to come together in that sort of way, that's when you will really begin to experience your power. But, you know, the delusions have to fall away, and that's what's happening now. The illusions, the delusions are falling away. Everything is being proven wrong. And we would suggest to you that all of those things that you know, a lot of them are going to come into question over the next few months.
Zappa was a prophet.
Well, you know, you're coming up to the eclipse.
It's a little old for some.
You're coming up to the eclipse on August 21st. And so do not be surprised at anything, including some major earth changes that may occur along those lines.
Gee, that was one of my questions coming up, as no surprise. Do you want to get into the equinox now?
We would only answer it in this sort of way. Why would we deprive you of the adventure of discovery?
You've answered that way before.
Yeah, it's a good one. We use it now and again.
Yeah.
But it's the truth. You know, this is something, this whole journey, and we can trace it all the way back to the change of the millennium. You know, and we look at a dynamic and we can show you logical step by step how the energy has been increasing, how that journey of the soul of the species is saying, hey, who are you going to be? Hey, who are you going to be? Who are you going to be? And that is the constant question that you are being asked. Are you going to become the advanced civilization that you could become, or are you going to fall back into the dynamics of the past and have another war and, perhaps destroy yourselves again? But again, we're not going to tell you your future. But we are going to tell you that you have the power. Whatever the result is going to be, you either created it or you allowed it.
Well, that balances into self-will versus foretold events.
Well, in fact, there really are no foretold events. Everything is up.
Everything could change.
Could change, yeah. It's all. Consider this. A wave of consciousness sweeps the planet tomorrow, and you begin to measure yourselves by how well the least of you are doing in your world, not the best. Do you think that would begin to change everything? That would be a movement that could begin to change a whole dynamic of a paradigm that you could not even possibly think about what the possibilities are, because you exist in this paradigm of not enough.
I can't imagine that happening.
And yet, it would be quite simple. Because each and every one of you knows in your heart what is right and what is not. All you have to do is listen to your conscience. And again, what is morality? Morality is telling the truth. We have often said, oh, you can do whatever you wish, as long as you're not willing to lie about it. To your spouse, to your friends, to yourself. In the dynamic of integrity, there's no such thing as black and white, and there's no such thing as a perfect truth, because truth can change. As you begin to understand more and more of a dynamic, as you can begin to understand deeper and deeper levels of understanding around things, you begin with a framework, but then you fill that dynamic of that framework in, and you become knowledgeable, and you can begin to understand with more and more depth, and you realize that there is no black and white. That black and white is an adolescent dynamic. It's all or nothing. It's good or evil. It's Republican or Democrat. It's all a very adolescent dynamic. One against the other, competition and comparison. And the truth of humanity is something very different. Created from a different platform. Created from a platform of enough, we would suggest to you that, especially if you out there that are adventurers, could find a great deal of adventure around creating a reality that is magical, a reality with enough for all, a reality where each and every one of you believes and knows, because you're each divine beings manifested in a physical form, that you are enough. Now, you may not be perfect, and you may wish to improve certain things within yourself, but you're already enough. You're already creating your realities 100%.
Okay, I want to ask a personal one.
Oh. Put $120 on the table.
All right. I'll
Now,
send you a check.
Sure, go ahead. I'll send you a check. We do not have a bank account. We're sorry.
Neither do I, but I have some
It'll
checks.
go to the government. SOTU,
It has to do with working with people. My books are published by a small publisher. And we've been going round and round. The first book has been out. The second book has been written, and we've been sending it back and forth. And I insist that these pieces are essential to the story, and they insist that they are not. And it's now we're around to the 6th go-round, and I'm ready to just toss it and say this is not going to happen. The second one isn't going to be published by these people, and that may mean it won't be published at all.
So the question we would ask you is, why are you so adamant?
I feel that I know the story, that I'm being guided through the story.
So,
and that those
doesn't
pieces,
that mean that you're not telling the story well enough right now, that you maybe need to add something for greater understanding? Or are these people that are reviewing it not the audience you're looking for? In
the
other
second
words,
is my feeling.
say it again.
The second one is my feeling.
Yes.
My feeling is they don't understand the path that I'm walking people through.
Okay, so maybe you need to send them an outline and spell it out for them, because they do not have the level of awareness. There's not enough room for them all inside there, you know.
Right.
Okay, and you are an artist, and yet we would suggest maybe you should step back a little bit, and instead of being so curmudgeonly, that you.
But that's so me.
but again, you know, if you really wish to solve the problem,
Right.
You wish to burn your bridge. Is it not good enough? Do you not like it? Are you using this as an excuse to keep yourself from actually putting it out there? Or, you know, does this one say, oh no, if I get this one out there, now I have to do the third one?
There is that.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the problem when you ask us a question. We will give you the answer.
Yeah.
Well, but again, those are the things, if you look, and this is for most of you, you know, each and every one of you, you have your own things around the emotional stuff that gets in the way like that, the resistances. Now, often these resistances are ones that you have chosen to face along this path. If you have chosen to become a successful writer in this lifetime, aren't you going to give yourself a certain number of hurdles to overcome?
Yes, but is the hurdle making sure that it's my story that is told?
But then you need to tell the story that others can understand. And if it takes an explanation in another sort of way to enlighten others, you might be willing to make that effort if the project is important enough to you.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was not
Not
a
the
heartfelt
answer.
thank you.
I'll thank you later.
We'll thank you later.
Then we'll
as I flatten your tires.
Let's just get back to everyone else's needs.
All right.
It's
All right.
changing the subject. Okay.
All
Other channels. Hear dead people and get messages from dead people, and do you? What's different about you versus them?
Never had an incarnation. Never had a physical incarnation.
So you don't see dead people floating around people?
Well, we have communicated messages at times, but we're not, you know, it's, as I said in that movie, Michael, we're not that kind of angel.
What I wonder with people like this who listen to dead people, I actually think about the dead people more. When I die, the last thing I want to do is hang out around parts of my family that are still alive, giving them reassurance and advice.
As we said, curmudgeons are curmudgeons.
So it's a choice.
It's a connection, it's a love connection, it's a dynamic connection, sure. If you had a dynamic of an abusive childhood, or a dynamic where, you know, your life circumstances added to your emotional turmoil, you know, you're not going to wish it. But if you were brought up in a loving family, if you had a deep and abiding connection with your brother or your sister, because you did, and that you know, you might, if your sister was on the planet and you were not, you might wish to advise her. And your sister, who is not on the planet, might wish to advise you if you were open to it in that sort of way. And so there is a medium. A medium is a middle person. It's no different a process than this. They come through the crown chakra. We actually move into the dynamic of instantaneously taking charge of the vocal cords and all of that dynamic, but that's only because we've been doing this with him for so long. So there's, the dynamics of channeling, as we have often said, they're pre-life situations where they're set up ahead of time for often very specific purposes. And whether that result will play out in that particular person's lifetime has to do with any number of choices that they face and the results of those choices.
Okay.
So it's not really written in stone, although there is a tendency to go in a certain direction.
Okay.
For everyone. We would suggest you have a tendency to be a writer, and you wrestle with yourself around it. This one had a tendency to be a channel, and he had to wrestle with the dynamics. How do you keep your ego out of this dynamic? How do you, and what sacrifices are you willing to make in order to accomplish what you wish to accomplish?
Okay.
It's all choice, dear ones. It's all choices. You're being asked to make choices every single day. Consider them wise. Consider the choices wisely. Do not go into the dynamic of judgments. Judgments hold things in place when you judge something. Be willing to be in a constant process of assessment. If you are always in the process of assessment around something, then your opinion can grow with ever-increasing levels of information. But if you make a judgment, that's it. It's done.
Switching, but kind of in the same vein. What I'm trying to do is tie up lots of ends because we have this one and the one next week, and that's it from this side.
Well, if you wish it that way. If you think you can keep up, we would actually be more than happy to continue.
Well,
in fact, these may become classics at some point.
These will be the tapes that they will dig up in,
in 2,000 years, and
we're
try to
the
figure out
guiding
the
lights
technology.
of this civilization.
That's right. That's
it.
absolutely correct.
Scares you, doesn't it?
Well, we may need to tie up loose ends in the next episode.
Okay, when do we stop?
In a minute and 42 seconds.
In a minute and 30-some seconds.
Okay. Well, let's try this one. Somebody does something bad in this world. Kills somebody.
Yeah.
Are they punished in the other world? Does God smite them? Are they sent to hell?
No, there is no hell. There is no hell.
So the only punishment is the punishment.
You're living it now.
Got it. Not that I personally killed someone in a past life.
No, but each of you. You know, what are you going to do? You're going to live a reality where your dreams are coming true? Really? It looks like a nightmare to us. All right, on that note. We'll be back in a few minutes with next week's version, where Stevie has another 28 minutes to bring us down. We love you all so very much. We are SOTU, and this is Conversations with SOTU, the interviews part 9. We love you all so very, very much, and so until the next time we close, sending you peace, sending you happiness, sending you joy, leaving Adrian with 17 seconds.
Go to our website. SOTU has weekly messages called So Tuesday. Keep up on current events. Thanks.